about me, Mom?
We're your number one son, too.
Tom Green was given $14 million by 20th Century Fox to make whatever the hell he wanted. What he churned out is the weirdest off-kilter story about an animator who just wants to make his daddy proud. And while his movie made a profit off DVD sales and eventually became a cult classic, it is considered a commercial and critical failure, gathering up 5 Raspberry Awards, including Worst Picture, Worst Actor, Worst Screen Couple, Worst Director, and the Worst Screenplay. For those who don't know, the Raspberry Awards are like the opposite of the Academy Awards. They basically clown on bad movies for funsies. Most winners never accept their awards or attend the party. Tom Green actually showed up to gather his award, unlike most people, and he played the harmonica so badly for so long that eventually they just dragged him off the stage. Aside from the overlapping categories, he also won a Stinker's Bad Movie Award for the most painfully unfunny comedy, which completely derailed his career. However, I don't think this is a painfully unfunny movie. I believe this is a byproduct of advanced humor that wasn't understood by its audience until humor as a whole had shifted in society. Or in other words, Freddy Got Fingered was a misunderstood masterclass in shitposting comedy. Before we go any further, this video has some themes not suitable for anyone under the age of 16, so viewer discretion is advised. I'm going to break down this video into different awards that it won and debunk them, so to speak. The first being Worst Actor. This one in particular really bothers me because comedy is a tricky genre to do effectively, because not only do you have to subvert expectations, keeping your jokes fresh, but you have to keep doing it throughout your runtime, and even harder, keep your audience laughing each time they watch it. And the cast of Freddy Got Fingered has stellar performances that are not only quotable, but hilarious continuously. Some line delivery that just comes to mind are
Ass out that door looking for a job, you retard.
Rip Torn's Jim Brody is disheartened that his son can't live up to the imposing standard of being employed, something I know a lot of you guys can relate to. The way he holds back on the slur at the end just to let it slip out, he seems disappointed that his son can't grasp the concept of hard work. His son, in Jim Brody's eyes, is intellectually disabled. My favorite line delivery in the film comes from Marissa Coughlin's Betty.
Walk in the park or something like that?
I can't walk!
I love her playful reply to the obvious here. She can't go on a romantic walk with Gord because she can only roll around. But that's besides the fact that she just gives this devious smile like she just checkmated Gord, and no, all he has to do is submit.
Okay.
No, I will not elaborate on the context of the scene any further. The award for Worst Actor went to the man himself, Tom Green, so I'm going to defend him in his most emotionally taxing scene.
He fingers him.
This scene marks the climax of the film. Gord has gotten sick of his father's disapproval and is sick of animating because of it. In family therapy, Gord comes up with a lie.
He takes him down behind the furnace and he touches him in his pants.
The urgency and sincerity of Gord's tone really drives home the weariness of his father's antics. His voice commands the room. He picks up a statue of Sigmund Freud and tosses it through the window, proclaiming,
He's a molester! He's a child molester!
At this moment, you can see Gord has fully committed to his lie. There's no going back, so he might as well sell it. The potency when he adds the word child in the mix just really drives home how bad of a man his father is. The critics said the movie was riddled with bad acting, but I just named 3 instances of peak off the top of my head, with many more that you can just find throughout the movie. Acting comes in all shapes and sizes, and the entire cast brought their A-game to display how funny the right script paired with the right actors could be. And like I just said, actors paired with the right script, so let's talk about how FGF is not the worst screenplay. Seamless transition, Lemon. Beautiful. Boom. FGF, we'll call it FGF from here on out to avoid some strikes, is a simple and pretty cliche story about a boy wanting to impress his stubborn father. It's full of early 2000s tropes like skating, pop songs played over montages and overlays, Eminem, and button-up shirts over plain-colored t-shirts. But it makes up for these seemingly uncreative choices and flips everything on its head. It spectacularly subverts the audience's expectations many times over. Examples include the first 2 major moments that throw you into the deep end. We have such a heartfelt, seemingly innocent beginning. Gord being silly with his drawings, followed by the skate montage, and then the cute family goodbyes, when Jim asking Gord to make him proud in the big city. This is followed by a sudden intrusion of Gord yelling,
Proud.
Get the fuck out of the way!
It's a tonal shift that hits like a truck and almost requires you to laugh at how absurd and intrusive it is. It's so intrusive that his dad's cheer of joy that his son is gone really just doesn't even seem out of the ordinary. Another subversion is that there are no race jokes. None. Zilch. Except maybe the Native Americans playing their instruments during the birth of this beautiful baby, but I don't see this as a joke at their culture and more as a layer of absurdity to this delivery situation. But having no racism in a 2000 comedy movie feels kind of rare. And to subvert the audience's expectations, they fill that gap with timeless jokes like kids getting hurt, picky eaters, and getting inside of animals. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Getting inside of animals is disgusting. And that is true. In fact, it confused Gord a little bit as well. Why was Mr. Dave Davidson, his soon-to-be studio executive, tell him to get inside his drawings, to understand them and how they feel? Why did he say to get inside the animals? These thoughts from the audience come to the forefront as our deepest fears seep in. A dead deer lies in the road. Flashbacks whirling around Gord's head. Boom! He doesn't commit necrophilia or zoophilia. Subverted expectations yet again as Gord wears the animal skin and literally gets inside of the animal. There's other really weird moments like this where the least logical moment is what happens next, like Gord licking his friend's injured leg or Gord spending hundreds of thousands of dollars just to move his dad to Pakistan, and all of it seems disgusting. It is. It's all forewarned at the very beginning of the film, similar to my disclaimer. If you can make it past the first crazy scene when Gord becomes a farmer, then you'll likely enjoy the rest of the film. Okay, this one is valid. But this scene serves as a litmus test. Eventually, you either stay for the ride or leave and never return. But besides how great this film is at subverting expectations, it also serves as a full narrative about a father and son. He wants to become an animator and then gets discouraged when he gives it
Give it weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months and years and years.
And eventually gives it his all and becomes a millionaire, all thanks to the constant support of his girlfriend, Betty. Now, Betty is an OG strong feminine character, despite being described by Jim as a
Retard slut whore!
You're not retarded!
Interesting to note that she didn't refute the other derogatory terms. Betty is confident, smart, sexy, she shows up like she owns the place, but is still kind, caring, and supportive of Gord. She doesn't need no man in her life, but definitely likes having them around. However, I will note that Gord is a complete douche to her throughout, and she puts up with it. Eventually, Gord lightens up and is much more respectful. Hallelujah. Also, by the end of the film, after all their disagreements and silly antics, Gord and his father, Jim, make up and grow closer as they're imprisoned in Pakistan. It's cliche, sure, but it works. And there's no plot holes, which is something some movies don't even seem to bother, like proofreading now.
Tron Aries.
It's so consistent in how it moves along with the story, so much so that when talking about events from the movie afterwards, you kind of just forget how much bonkers stuff happens in it. It's not like super deep like The Godfather, but who cares? It doesn't have to be. The plot is simple, it's effective, it's fun, relatable, not jorking horse peanuts, but the struggle of being a creative and sometimes struggling to create and live up to the hype, okay? That's what I'm trying to get at. All this leads to some hilarious moments, all right? So next, I'm going to defend the cinematography. I'm going to put up 3 frames, and if you can't tell me this isn't absolutely bonkers, then I'm calling cap. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. These shots perfectly encapsulate the film. Number 1 is unexpected. Number 2, bonkers. Number 3, satirically cliche. Huzzah! I have proven why this movie doesn't deserve the awards it was given, but I feel it would be a disservice to this movie to not talk about how it became a cult classic years later. And it all has to do with time. This movie fits right in the modern day humor. You scroll on Instagram and the feed is just filled with like vile slop. Over and over, scrollers see dark humor, injuries, and off-kilter moments. Ask the average high schooler and they could tell you how much of this stuff they see on Instagram. It's all there, and teens eat it up. There's something kind of charming seeing a kid get hurt, knowing they'll get back up after making such a big scene. There's a whole page on Instagram for that. Teens use the R slur all over Instagram in increasingly unique ways, not even targeted at the typical individual, but at those who aren't even bothered by it. Back then, humor was different. Kids now find the obscene, wacky, and unexpected moments in life to be funny. One could say that FGF is brain rot of no real substance, but I beg to differ. Tom Green crafted a plethora of jokes and bits that utilized the modern-day formula. FGF is unexpected and weird, and at times literally just insane. But it was intentional. Is it really brain rot if it's a well-crafted joke? I found an interesting article called "Shitposting is Art," if history is any indication. It discusses the art of shitposting and how it correlates to Dadaism. Writing for The Polygon, journalist Sam, I'm going to mispronounce this probably, Sam Greases? I apologize. He points out that Dadaism is, quote, confusing, context-free pieces that, specifically because they were so absurd, were seen as revolutionary works both artistically and politically, end quote. And that is exactly how it feels to watch FGF. Every time I show it to a new friend or they show the film to someone, they love it. FGF was revolutionary in the way that it is a new form of humor on film. It was bound to be appreciated someday, just not in the early 2000s apparently. But honestly, I'm okay with this coming out when it did, because there is no way this would be made today. Test audiences and studio executives are so hands-on now that they just kind of restrict the flow of creativity, I feel. Rounds and rounds of reshoots and delays draw out the process of filmmaking, and sometimes it sours the film or TV show. It just doesn't compute in my head as to how Tom Green could be voted as the worst director when he was able to write and lead this film into what it is. He was able to guide actors into what they do best, and each of their roles were perfect for their skill set. Painfully unfunny is such an unfunny joke on someone who put time into a masterclass of the comedy genre, especially coming from critics who couldn't even make a funnier film than this. The joke of the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards gets even worse when you realize this killed his career. Being a comedian and being labeled unfunny is usually enough to get them off stage, and yet not nearly enough sometimes. In Family Therapy, Gord comes up with the lie. Yeah, even the title is a joke. There's this build-up and expectation that Freddy has this huge secret. Ew. Sorry, I'm not feeling too hot right now. There's this build-up and expectation that Freddy has this huge secret, but it's just a way for Gord to get revenge. But Tom Green subverts our expectations again and again, making this joke more profound as the runtime continues. We think maybe Jim is gonna get locked up, or put on the registry, or put on trial, or literally anything other than Freddy getting taken away and Jim roaming free. Like, what? In a later scene, this angelic music plays as kids dance and scream with joyous laughter as the camera follows a kid running through an institute for molested kids. We see tons of youngins, and Freddy, a grown man, who didn't even get touched by his father in that way. This boy is trying to be comforting to Freddy, but the camera cuts and we see that these kids aren't even being watched. Otherwise, Texas Chainsaw Massacre wouldn't be playing on the TV. And that's it. We never see Freddy again. He seeps into the back of our minds as the story continues without him, or at least that's what happens until the end scene, when the whole world is cheering that their favorite animator, Gord, has finally been freed from the Pakistanis. We see that Freddy, after all this time, is still in the institute. Gord's payback didn't even do what he wanted. Instead of making his dad pay, he simply put Freddy in confinement with a bunch of emotionally traumatized kids. This movie is genius with his jokes like this. It's insane, but it works. Unfortunately, the world just wasn't ready for it then. But for me, this is an experience I wouldn't rob my worst enemy of. I have some fun facts before we head out today. Number one, the production company of this movie was 20th Century Fox, who was bought by Disney in 2019. So technically, Freddy Got Fingered is a Disney movie. And two, there's a lot of weird stuff in this movie, and because of that, it was almost rated NC-17, which is a no-go for movie theaters. It's practically impossible to turn a profit on movies that are rated NC-17. They being the filmmakers, helped negate this disability by having the kids say, "I'm okay!" right after, Number three, during his acceptance speech, Tom Green said, "I would just like to say to all the other nominees in the audience, I don't think that I deserve it any more than the rest of you. I'd like to say that, but I just don't think it would be true." Ah. He has also said that he's very proud of the movie he's made. It's like his little child, which is so sweet to me. Number four, Gene Wilder was originally considered for the role that went to Rip Torn. He turned it down because the script was offensive, which totally valid. Loki, I think Rip Torn ate it up, but Gene Wilder would have been kind of interesting to see as Gord's father. And lastly, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching.